We'll shift focus then and speak to Mithilendu, Associate Director, Structured Finance Ratings at India Ratings and Research, joins us on the show. Good afternoon. Great to have you with us. Let's talk about your report that suggests that CV loans are on a recovery path. If you can tell us, what are the factors that are leading to recovery and what has led to revise your outlook to stable?
Thank you. We have several reasons to believe that the commercial vehicle loans are on recovery path. First of all, we have seen gradual improvement in industrial activities for several months now, though there have been temporary blips. And this has also reflected in the improvement in medium and heavy commercial vehicle sales, which in October stood at average 6-monthly year-on-year growth of 33%. And not just medium and heavy commercial vehicle sales, we also believe that in FY17, light commercial vehicle sales will also come out of contraction, and which currently is still degrowing, albeit at a slower pace. So industrial activities is a major push. Secondly, we have observed that the margins of the commercial vehicle owners have improved significantly in last year, mainly because of the gradual decline in diesel price. So in November 2015, almost 40% drop in average diesel price across major cities were recorded, and that has reflected in the improvement in the margin. So despite the decrease in diesel price, CV operators were able to hold the freight rates at the levels which were there almost a year ago. So which indicates that there is improvement in demand, freight demand. However, we believe that this margin improvement may not go indefinitely higher, because this industry is very competitive. But still, the improved margin will improve the debt serviceability of these CV operators in FY17. And these are the key reasons. Apart from that, we also believe that there is a reversal in trend in terms of the performance of new CV loans as compared to used CV loans. So we believe that the fresh originated loans given out to the new CV operators will start performing better than the used CV loans, because they will take advantage of their vehicles' high load carrying capacity in the future.
But do you think that there is a recovery coming in the sector, and whether this recovery is, in a way sustainable? Do you see CV operators' ability to service debt improving? Because that just then snowballs into the entire space getting a bit more revolved and, of course, getting back in business in a very active manner.
So the reason why we believe that this recovery indicates to a sustainable recovery is that this has been largely reflected in the delinquency levels of the CV loans, which has shown improvement and likely to show further improvement in FY17. And unless until there is a sustained drop in industrial activities, we don't have a reason to believe that this recovery will not sustain in future.
Okay, so will the above lead to lower delinquencies for top CV finance players like Shriram Transport Finance or Sundaram Finance, etc.?
So it will be very difficult to specifically relate this to a specific originator. However, on an average, all these NBFCs will see improvement in the performance of the CV loans on their books.
So what's the outlook going forward? I mean, we just spoke to Sundaram Fasteners and, some of the other businesses as well in the space. How do you see the move when it comes to different segments within CVs, and especially also the outlook on the tractor space, because that's core and reflecting of whether rural demand is coming back in a meaningful manner?
So the outlook on tractor is in sharp contrast with the CV outlook. We have revised the outlook to negative from a stable to negative last year. and this is primarily driven from the consecutive monsoon failures. We have observed that in the past, tractor owners were able to kind of diversify their uses in other sectors such as local transportation and local infrastructure activities. In spite of that, the successive poor monsoons have weighed on their performance. And apart from the monsoon failures, we have observed that in FY16 so far, only 3 to 3.5% growth in minimum support price has happened, as compared to almost 9% compound annual growth rate in minimum support price in the period from 2011 to 2014. So that muted growth in MSP has also impacted the debt serviceability and performance of tractor loans. If we compare the delinquency of the recent vintage tractor loans, meaning 2012 to loans originated in 2012 to 2014, as compared to those originated before that, the delinquency has increased by over 50%. So we think that this increased level of delinquency is not likely to come down in FY17 unless until we see a major push in MSP and support in rural infrastructure in terms of more spending in rural infrastructure activities.
Okay, but as we get visuals of Maruti launching or rather unveiling their mini SUV Ignis, and I think we'll go across to the launch in just moments. What convinces you that the tractor business is likely to improve from here on? Because a close watch will be kept on the monsoon situation this season around. How do you think that would translate into numbers?
See, tractor loans will see improvement only if we see improvement on various areas, such as if the monsoon does well this year, which is expected, and also if we see government announcing several initiatives to improve rural infrastructure spending, such as in irrigation infrastructure or rural road infrastructure or power infrastructure, that may translate into better performance of tractor loans and may bring the tractor loan delinquency to lower levels.
Okay, and if you can tell us about your budget expectations, and is that likely to boost rural demand and an outlook on rural economy as well?
So in the past several years, we have seen government's sustained focus on rural economy, and we believe that if the government announces some of the stalled projects, infrastructure projects in rural areas, that will give a boost to the rural economy. And apart from that, there are several areas such as irrigation, rural roads, and data connectivity and power. If we see increased emphasis on those areas in this budget, then that will certainly bring revival in the rural economy.
Interesting thoughts there. Thanks, Mithilendu, for joining us and giving us your perspective on the CV side of the business and whether that's recovering in a meaningful manner. Dr. Narayan is still with us. Dr. Narayan,